Commence the meeting, please, with the affirmation.
The affirmation.
Tēnā tātou katoa, we seek wisdom, understanding, insights into the views and circumstances of others, strength to seek what we believe in, humility to accept the combined decisions of others, patience, good humour at all times, tolerance and courtesy, while working in the best interests of the community. Next item on the agenda is apologies. I have received apologies from Councillor Ross Clow, from Councillor Denise Lee for early departure, I think this afternoon if the meeting goes on, and Councillor Chris Darby for lateness. Are there any other apologies? If not, I'll move that we accept those apologies. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Professor Collins. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Carried. Declaration of interest. Are there any councillors who need to declare an interest, a personal interest in any of the items on the agenda today? If not, we move to the minutes. We have one set of minutes for confirmation from the 29th of June. And the motion is that we confirm the minutes. Do I have a seconder? Chris Fletcher, Councillor Chris Fletcher there. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. Carried. We come now to petitions, and we have one.
Mr. Mayor, I have a precedence of business. I'd like to move an item 11 from its current position to item 17. I can explain why, but it's just a procedural item.
It would be helpful to have an explanation for that, because
sure,
we wouldn't normally do it.
The report does not contain some confidential information that has since been circulated to all members of the governing body. Without that confidential information, the report is really not complete. And we can't have that confidential information in the public arena because it's still stamped confidential. So the only way we can have a complete discussion is to have it in confidential, then release the information into the public arena. And never mind the ritual humiliation of Mike Lee, which is better done behind closed doors.
Well, I don't accept the councillor's last statement, but
I'll withdraw and
if
apologise.
at the time that we reach item 11, if there is a wish on the part of the council that the discussion be held in confidence, we'll seek some legal advice as to whether that's appropriate in this case. If it is appropriate, I'd be happy to accept the motion at that point.
Mr. Mayor, it's a procedural item. You don't have any authority over it. I just need a seconder and it needs to be put.
So your motion is?
To move item 11 from its current position on the agenda to item 17, which is at the end of the agenda.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Seconded, Professor Collins. I will put that. It's a procedural item. It doesn't require...
Can I speak to that, Mr. Mayor?
No, it's a procedural item. We don't debate procedural items. We simply vote on them. So I shall... Does everybody understand?
Further information is required.
Yeah, there is no
by division. Thank you.
You want to do it by division? Okay. Does everybody understand what the motion is? So I shall...
Point of order.
Point of order. Councillor Newman.
Mr. Chair, can you clarify? So, taking it at item 17, are we taking that as a confidential item under what?
No.
The
Procedural motion at this point is to move the item down the agenda. It doesn't include any resolution at this point on confidentiality. Okay. Is everybody clear on what the procedural motion is?
Fairly straightforward.
But I don't understand the explanation why we would do it. So it's hard for me to vote on.
I don't either, but it'll be up to, it's a procedural motion, so it's up to councillors to vote on it.
Point of order.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, I understand standing orders, but I wonder on this occasion if you could seek an indulgence from me to allow Councillor Lee to speak, because I think we are all of a mood to try and understand why it should be moved down the agenda, and I just implore you that you allow Councillor Lee to contribute in a way.
If there is a consensus amongst councillors that we should hear that explanation, I'm happy to agree to that. Councillor Lee.
I'm not sure about the the resolution because it is predicated that the information I circulated to members, which was a report to the Domain Committee for the 12th of April by officers with recommendations, which consequently the Domain Committee supported. That was confidential. The matter remained confidential until it appeared in the newspaper the day the Chief Executive and the Mayor called the item in. I think that item can no longer be considered confidential, but I would take advice on that. But I did circulate it to all the members of the governing body last evening to give some balance to the officers' report that we have on this agenda, which recommends something completely different. But they were the same council, they were council officers who made the recommendations. That's the point. And whether that report to the Domain Committee remains confidential is something that we need to seek advice on. I don't believe it is confidential anymore, given what's on this agenda and what's appeared in the media.
Okay, we have, if I can just clarify this, we have two separate issues. One is the resolution is to move the item down the agenda, but what Councillor Lee has talked about and Councillor Casey has also raised is the question of confidentiality. They're two separate questions in my mind. I'm still wondering why we need to move the item down the agenda.
Because
Councillor
it's
Casey,
polite
can you clarify that?
so we don't turf people out halfway through the meeting if we go into confidential, make them sit outside for an hour or two, then call them back in. So normal procedure is to put items that may be in confidential at the end of the agenda, and I suspect that this one should be confidential because of the confidential papers that I've got in front of me that I know I can't talk about because they're still stamped confidential. Well, I don't even...
Excuse me one moment, I just wanted to check out whether, because the issue is about confidentiality, I just want to get some view from officials as to whether we have the ability to discuss this under confidential. Have we...
They should just release.
Okay. The answer is that our legal staff is looking at that issue. So why don't I simply take the initiative of putting it down the agenda now, and that will give our legal staff the ability to make a recommendation and a ruling to the council. So if you're happy with that, I will defer item number 11 until such time as we have a clear legal opinion on that, because that seems to be the substantive issue. Right,